Good morning, everybody. So, you've put out a couple of videos on my real estate investment journey. We talked about my biggest mistake and some of my good choices in the last video. We're going to go back to another mistake, and that was when we purchased our first investment property, we left a sizable amount of cash down on the property. And when you're a newbie and you are going through common bank loans, even DSCR, which is a loan that doesn't take your income into account, it takes into account just the value of the rental units and how much you'll be able to rent them for. You still ultimately have to end up leaving 20, sometimes 25% down on those loans. And even if you have that amount of capital, using it all on one deal slows down your growth trajectory as a real estate investor. So, there is a process that we real estate investors like to call BAR. If you are willing to do a little bit of work on a property, the basic premise of BAR is you buy a somewhat distressed property. It doesn't necessarily mean it has to be totally broken down and a complete overhaul. It might just need some, tender loving care to make it look a little more modern, etc. If you then get renters into that unit at a higher rate, um, then you turn around and you reappraise the property for a higher value and then refi out of the property the cash that you put into it originally. You can effectively get those properties with very little or no money down in the end. It requires some short term intermediate financing, but that is very available. And not just from what you hear as hard money lenders, there's other options too in terms of how you can acquire that short term funding. But the best part is the end result, which is instead of leaving, you know, potentially $75,000 down on a 300 or $350,000 property and being out of pocket with that, ultimately after refining, maybe you've only left 10 or $15,000 down, or maybe you did really well and you've left no capital down. So now you have a property that is renting, cash flowing, and you have the capital back to do it again. That should be the goal. And it's a very viable goal. And there were a couple years here where it was very hard to find deals like that in the market. But we're slowly starting to see that distressed properties prices are coming back down and that there are opportunities again. So this is an area in which I can be of assistance to you and ultimately help you understand that this journey is not all that scary. So if you have any questions, give me a call, 484 442 0295.